Government bonds are essentially loans that individuals and institutions make to the government. These bonds are issued by the government to raise funds for various public projects and expenditures. By purchasing a government bond, you are lending your money to the government for a specified period. When you buy a government bond, you're essentially giving the government a loan. This loan is backed by the full faith and credit of the issuing government, which means that the government is obligated to repay the loan amount along with interest. In return, the government promises to pay you back the principal amount of the loan with interest after a certain period. The interest rate and the duration of the bond are predetermined, providing a clear understanding of the returns you can expect. People invest in government bonds for various reasons. Some seek the safety and security that these bonds offer, while others are attracted to the steady income stream they provide. They are considered a relatively safe investment, especially those issued by stable governments. The risk of default is minimal, making them a preferred choice for conservative investors. Bonds offer a predictable stream of income, making them attractive to risk-averse investors. The regular interest payments, known as coupon payments, provide a reliable source of income, which can be particularly beneficial for retirees or those looking for stable returns. Furthermore, government bonds can play a role in diversifying investment portfolios. By including bonds in a portfolio, investors can reduce overall risk and achieve a more balanced investment strategy. This diversification helps in mitigating the volatility associated with other asset classes like stocks. Governments typically borrow money to fund their operations and various projects. When government spending exceeds its revenue, it runs a budget deficit. To cover this shortfall, it issues bonds. These bonds are sold to individuals, institutions, and even foreign governments. When these entities purchase bonds, they are essentially lending money to the government. The government, in turn, uses the borrowed funds to finance its activities. Continuous deficit spending leads to the accumulation of national debt. This occurs when a government spends more money than it receives in revenue, often to fund various programs and initiatives. Over time, these deficits add up, resulting in a growing national debt. The national debt represents the total amount of money a government owes to its creditors. This debt is often financed through the issuance of government bonds and securities, which are purchased by investors both domestically and internationally. As a government borrows more, its debt grows. This borrowing is necessary to cover the gap between revenue and expenditure, but it also means that future budgets will need to allocate funds to repay this debt. A high national debt can have significant economic consequences. It can affect a country's credit rating, making it more expensive to borrow money in the future. This can lead to a cycle of increasing debt and interest payments. It can lead to higher interest rates, crowding out private investment. When the government borrows heavily, it competes with the private sector for available funds, potentially leading to higher costs for businesses and consumers. Additionally, a large portion of government revenue might be directed towards servicing the debt, limiting funds available for other essential services. This can impact public investment in infrastructure, education, and healthcare, ultimately affecting the overall economic growth and well-being of the nation. Section 4. The inflationary ripple effect of government debt. Excessive government borrowing can contribute to inflation. When the government injects large sums of borrowed money into the economy, it can increase the money supply. This increase in the money supply, without a corresponding increase in the production of goods and services, can lead to a rise in prices. As the prices of goods and services increase, the purchasing power of money declines. Section 5. Your wallet on the line. The real-life impact of inflation. Inflation is a silent force that can significantly affect your financial well-being. It creeps up slowly, but its effects can be profound. Inflation directly impacts individuals and their daily lives. It affects the cost of goods and services, making everyday essentials more expensive. When prices rise, your money buys less than it did before. This means that the same amount of money will not stretch as far, forcing you to make tough choices. This means your income might not be enough to cover your expenses. Monthly bills, groceries, and other necessities become harder to afford, putting a strain on your budget. This leads to a decrease in purchasing power and can erode living standards. Families may have to cut back on non-essential items and even some essentials to make ends meet. For example, If you were able to buy a certain amount of groceries with $100 a year ago, you might find that the same amount of groceries now costs you $110 or more due to inflation. This increase in prices means that your savings and income lose value over time. It's crucial to understand how inflation works and to plan accordingly. By being aware of inflation, you can take steps to protect your financial future, such as investing wisely and budgeting effectively.